In 2012, the United States assembled one of the greatest basketball teams of all time. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, along with many other NBA superstars. This team was pretty much a cheat code, beating every team by a lot. But no victory was quite
Wait, what?
But no victory code, beating every team by
What is that, Great Britain? Wait, what is this? It's Tunisia.
a lot. But no victory was quite as lopsided as their game against Nigeria, when Team USA scored 153 points and beat Team Nigeria by 83. 83 points. The largest margin of victory in the history of Olympic basketball. And I bring up this monumental defeat because just last week, USA's Olympic basketball team played Nigeria again. And they lost.
What?
The United States Olympic basketball team lost to Nigeria. This is a massive turn of events. United States basketball has only lost 5 games in 85 years. Their all-time record is 138-5. 3 of those losses occurring during the infamous 2004 Olympic run. So it would be an understatement to say that this does not happen often. The US brought the league's brightest stars to the Olympics, and although this was just an exhibition game, the NBA's best players couldn't weather the storm that Nigeria threw at them. And you're probably thinking, it's just one game, and a game that doesn't even matter at that. What's the big deal?
And Dellavedova with a great punch out to Ingles for the exclamation point. Australia.
Guys, is there a glitch at the bottom? It says Australia. This can't be right.
With 3 seconds left, and it's 2 straight losses for Team USA.
Yeah. Coming right off their loss against Nigeria, the US lost again to Australia. This time, 91-83. Guys, this is not a fluke. Something big is going on here. That's 2 straight losses for Team USA basketball.
And they say they lost twice as well.
Last week, the US Olympic team had only lost 5 games ever. In 2012, the US walked Australia in the Olympics.
This is really interesting, actually.
And now, this. So, what's going on here?
Wait, they lost to this guy.
Well, there has been a shift of power in international basketball that has been taking place over the past decade, and we are seeing this shift on full display. For years, the United States was virtually untouchable.
Joe? Is Joe's good?
Games almost looking like
Joe Ingles the GOAT.
blowouts within the first quarter. But over the last 10 years or so, international basketball has gotten exponentially better, and in many cases, completely caught up to the level of basketball we see in the NBA. I mean, just look at this. These clips are from the 1992 Olympics, where the US literally looked like an NBA team playing against a junior.
Chat, this is my opinion. I know nothing about the sport, but I think why this is good, I think this will cut through like complacency and like nepotism and shit.
Junior varsity team with a losing record. These games were more of a formality than anything else.
Increase the level of competition, of course.
Was taking home the gold before the games even began.
Well, the point is to build the best team. And I think sometimes people don't build the best team.
Compare that to today's USA team, and not only did Nigeria and Australia outplay the US altogether, they shot better, they rebounded better, they controlled the pace of the game better, they moved the ball better, and I think part of this is because the US team simply underestimated these international teams. Coming out slow, assuming the win would just take care of itself. Of course, this was not the case. But even when the US team came off of their historic loss last week, nothing changed between then and their loss against Australia.
Okay, maybe wrong choice of words then.
What did in these games was a testament to the program they've built for their young talent
and how
they continue to develop this talent to an NBA standard. And this has taken years to accomplish. In 2012, Nigeria lost to the US by 83. In 2016, they lost to the US by 44. And last week, they beat the US by 3. Not a huge sample size, but certainly a trend is taking place here. And this same trend can be seen throughout the rest of the international basketball world. On Saturday, the U19 FIBA World Cup Finals came down to the United States versus France. And in a game that went down to the final possession, the United States just barely squeaked out a win. The best player on the court was not one of the top 15 recruits the US has to offer. It was a 7'3" demigod from France. The US has spent the last 4 decades with a clear and dominant edge over the rest of the basketball world. But every single year, that edge becomes smaller and smaller. Let's take a look at the best players in the NBA in the 1980s. 1. only one of the top 20 players of that decade was foreign-born or was of foreign nationality. In the 1990s, the number of top NBA players with foreign nationality jumped to just 2. In the 2000s, that number had a slight jump to 4.
How do they quantify this though?
In the 2021 season, out of the consensus top 20 NBA players, 6 are of foreign nationality. But here's what's even crazier. Out of the top 25 NBA players under the age of 27,
Stats?
10 of them
Chat, you know
are
what?
foreign-born or of foreign nationality.
I know you guys are going to hate me for this, chat, because I just feel like stats most of the time are misrepresenting a lot of things, and I feel like things are extremely complicated, and they can't be really oversimplified by statistics. That's just what I think.
10. Just a decade ago, this number was maybe 1 or 2. The last 3 MVP awards went to foreign-born players.
They help,
Luka Doncic,
but a lot of things makes a team or a player successful, right? As a whole, and
most
whatever,
fans
man.
consider the next face of the league is foreign-born. This season's runner-up in the MVP was also
A lot of these things can be put into
this season's
statistics.
Defensive Player of the Year, a foreign player. So the international takeover on the league is obvious. But if I had to explain why this is happening and happening at such a rapid rate, I would say that first and foremost, the NBA is a league of situations.
It's the
There's always going to be
intangibles
superstars
that
who
make a
stand out
player
no matter
successful.
what. But for most players, their success is heavily dependent on the situation they're in and how well they fit. Take Manu Ginobili, an international legend who led Argentina to an Olympic gold medal in 2004, beating the US in the process. In the NBA, he was an incredible player, but he was never the leader of his team. He had a role, and he played that role. But during international tournaments, his role changed drastically, and he was more than capable of being the leader of a gold medal team. Even role players like Patty Mills, Rudy Fernandez, and Luis Scola really shined when they were put in a situation that better suited
I'm
their
not
abilities.
guys, I'm not gonna watch the whole thing.
Second, and this is more to do with why the US lost to these other countries, and I know this is a hot take, but it's just flat out harder to score in international play than it is in the NBA. Defenses are tighter, guys are playing for their country, so they take pride in every single possession. The game is less about the individual and more about the team, so there's very little ISO action when players can have the entire possession.
This makes a lot of sense.
Every single game is very similar to the intensity of a playoff basketball game, and a lot of these international guys are older and extremely experienced in this environment, whereas the United States is loaded with young talent that has a relatively low experience in these high intense games. Defense is basically shot in modern US basketball. So most of the time, the goal is to basically hope your shots are falling faster than your opponents. But when your opponents are scrappy, skilled, hungry veterans who will give 10,000% on both ends, that bucket
Okay, yeah, guys, I'm not watching the whole thing.
burst
This is
mentality
interesting though.
goes right out the window. Luka Doncic actually spoke about this when he first came to the NBA, saying that he has a much easier time scoring in the NBA than he did in the EuroLeague. And last and most importantly, the gap between the United States and the rest of the world in basketball comes down to opportunity.
Guys, Andrew, basketball, guys, I get the point. I get the point, guys. I was only watching the Olympics. I'm watching the variety of sports. Okay, I'm learning about the world. Okay, let me learn.